The small size of the hummingbird, weighing only a tenth of an ounce, gives it the flexibility to perform complicated maneuvers such as beating its wings 75 times a second. This enables the hummingbird to drink nectar from flowers while hovering, but it cannot soar, glide, or hop. The ostrich at 300 pounds is the largest bird, but it can't fly. However, its legs are so strong that it can run at up to 50 miles per hour, taking strides of 12 to 15 feet. Ignorance. Being ignorant is not so much a shame as being unwilling to learn to do things the right way. Benjamin Franklin. The illusion of knowledge is not education but ignorance. Foolish people have a strange kind of confidence which comes only with ignorance. Some animals in a forest decided to start a school. The students included a bird, a squirrel, a fish, a dog, a rabbit, and a mentally retarded eel. A board was formed to determine the curriculum, and it was decided that flying, tree climbing, swimming, and burrowing would give a broad-based education. All animals were required to take all subjects. The bird was excellent at flying and was getting A's, but when it came to burrowing, it kept breaking its beak and wings and started failing. Pretty soon, it started making C's in flying and of course in tree climbing and swimming. It was getting F's. The squirrel was great at tree climbing but was failing in swimming. The fish was the best swimmer but couldn't get out of water and thus got F's in everything else. The dog didn't join the school, stopped paying taxes, and kept fighting with the administration to include barking as part of the curriculum. The rabbit got A's in burrowing, but tree climbing was a real problem. It kept falling and landing on its head, suffered brain damage, and soon couldn't even burrow properly and got C's in that too. The mentally retarded eel, who did everything half as well, became the valedictorian of the class. The board was happy because everybody was getting a broad-based education. A true broad-based education prepares students for life without losing their areas of specialization and competence. Common sense. We are born with 5 senses: touch, taste, sight, smell, hearing. But successful people have a 6th sense, common sense. Common sense is the ability to see things as they are and do them as ought to be done. The application of education and knowledge without common sense is meaningless. Common sense may not necessarily be the result of education. The best education without common sense is worthless. An abundance of common sense is called wisdom. John, a woodcutter, worked for a company for 5 years but never got a raise. The company hired Bill, and within a year he got a raise. Then John resented Bill getting a raise after only a year and went to his boss to talk about it. The boss said, "You are still cutting the same number of trees you were cutting 5 years ago. We are a result-oriented company and would be happy to give you a raise if your productivity goes up." John went back, started hitting harder and putting in longer hours, but still wasn't able to cut more trees. He went back to his boss and told him his dilemma. The boss told John to go talk to Bill. Maybe there is something Bill knows that you and I don't. John asked Bill how he managed to cut more trees. Bill answered, "After every tree I cut, I take a break for 2 minutes and sharpen my axe." When was the last time you sharpened your axe? When was the last time you sharpened your axe? Past glory and education don't count for much. We have to continuously sharpen the axe. Feed your mind. Just as our body needs good food every day, our minds need good thoughts every day. The key words in the preceding sentence are good food and good thoughts. If we feed our body with junk food and our mind with bad thoughts, we will have both a sick body and a sick mind. We need to feed our mind with the pure and the positive way to stay on track. Education is a reservoir. Continuous positive education leads to positive thinking. Positive thinkers are like athletes who, through practice, build an inner reservoir of stamina, but they draw on during a competition. If they don't practice, they have nothing to draw on. Similarly, positive thinkers regularly build a reserve of positive attitudes by constantly feeding their mind on the pure, the powerful, the positive on a daily basis. They realize that we are all going to be faced with the negative, and if we have the reservoir of positive attitudes, we will be able to overcome it. Otherwise, the negative will prevail. Positive thinkers are not fools, and they are not going through life with blinders. They are winners who recognize their limitation but focus on their strengths. Losers, on the other hand, recognize their strengths but focus on their weaknesses. Self-esteem. Self-esteem is the way we feel about ourselves. When we feel good within, our performance goes up and our relationships improve, both at home and at work. The world looks nicer. What could be the reason? Because there is a direct correlation between our feelings and behavior. Why? How do we build positive self-esteem? If we want to build a positive self-esteem quickly, one of the fastest way is to do something for those who cannot repay you in cash or kind. A few years ago, I started volunteering my time to teach attitude and self-esteem programs to jail inmates. In just a few weeks, I learned more than I had learned in years. After attending my program for 2 weeks, one of the inmates stopped me and said, "Shiv, I am going to be released from the prison in a couple of weeks." I asked him what he had learned through the attitude development program. He thought for a while and then said that he felt good about himself. I said, "Good doesn't tell me anything. Tell me specifically what behavior has changed." I believe that learning has not taken place unless behavior changes. He told me that since starting the program, he reads the Bible every day. I then asked him what reading the Bible did to him. He replied that he now felt comfortable with himself and others, something he hadn't felt before. I said to him that is nice, but the bottom line is, what are you going to do when you leave jail? He told me he was going to try to be a contributing member of society. I asked him the same question again and he gave me the same answer. Then I asked him, what are you going to do when you leave jail? Obviously, I was looking for a different answer. At this point, in an angry tone, he said, "I am going to be a contributing member of society." I pointed out to him that there was a world of difference in what he said earlier and what he said now. First, he had said, I am going to try to be, and now he said, "I am going to be." The difference is the word try. Either we do something or we don't. The word try keeps the door open for him to come back to jail. Another inmate who was listening in our conversation asked Sheep, what do you get paid to do all this? I told him the feeling that I just experienced was worth more than what could get paid in monetary terms. He then asked, why do you come here? I said, I come here for my own selfish reasons. I want to make this world a better place to live. This kind of selfishness is healthy. In a nutshell, what you put into the system, you always get back. And most times it is more than you can ever put in, but you don't put in with a desire to get something back. And another inmate said, what anybody does is their own business. When people take drugs, it is none of their business. Wow, why don't you leave them alone? I replied, my friend, even though I disapprove, I will compromise and accept what you are saying, and that is none of my business. Can you guarantee that when someone takes drugs and gets behind the wheel of car and has an accident, the only thing they will ever hit is a tree? I will compromise. But if you cannot guarantee this, you or I or our kids could be dead. You better believe it is my business. I have to get this person off the roads. The one phrase, it is my life, I will do what I want, has done more damage than good. People choose to ignore the spirit and derive the meaning that is convenient to them. Such people have tied this phrase to selfishness, and this had a negative effect on them and the world around them. There are two kinds of people in this world, givers and takers. Takers eat well and givers sleep well. Givers have high self-esteem, a positive attitude, and they serve the society. By serving society, I do not mean a run-on-the-mill pseudo-learner turned politician who serves himself by pretending to serve others. As human beings, we all have the need to receive and take, but a healthy personality with high self-esteem is one that not only has its need to take, but also to give.